It moves! You see it moves? Now, my dear friends of expensive Christmas presents, you know, earlier this year in June, we already figured that the flight sim hardware market is very much changing right now, you know, at the Flight Sim Expo, with some big players entering the game of flight simulations. I mean, we talked about the Chinese Wing company that introduced lots of hardware products for a very cheap price. We also talked about, you know, the flightsim.com yokes, which are force feedback. And everybody, force feedback is quite the name of the game today, because today we're going to talk about Moza's first flight simulator product. Yes, for those racing fans of yours, you may already know Moza Racing because they're very much renowned for their racing hardware product. They've got quite a lot of them as well. Look at that stick shift. They are very much considered top of the line. And this year, Moza decided to enter the flight sim hardware game as well with their Moza flight line. Everybody, the AB9 force feedback base. Yes, everybody. Now, we don't only have a semi-affordable force feedback yoke, but also a force feedback joystick. Something that's not ever really been a thing, right? I mean, I know of the Swiss Brunner company who does sell a HOTAS base for 1,300 euros. Not really affordable at all. I also know of the FF Beast force feedback base, which as you can see is a lot bigger and, you know, more military themed. It's definitely very, very much powerful as well. Take a look at these dual motors. That one also costs at least 900 euros in the basic version. So how interesting is it for Moza to now come up with this flight stick bundle with the base costing $549 and the flight stick that we have right here costing $169, which is a price of $718, which of course still is the most expensive flight stick we ever reviewed. This one's got insanely good rating, insanely good feedback. I also tested it at the Flight Sim Expo and even asked my A320 pilot friend, who actually does fly them in real life, about the authenticity of this thing, and he was amazed as well. So let's maybe have a look. Is Moza Flight going to be the choice for those simulator pilots who want to take their flying a bit more seriously and have a bit of a bigger wallet? Yeah, you can buy it now. Only shipping takes 46 weeks. I guess they have a bunch of orders anyway. So let's maybe take a look. This comes in a relatively nice box. So come on, buddy. It's unboxing 001. Great. Take a look. We've got a million stickers here. We've got a manual. Yeah. Now, I do have to say, I reached out to Moza and asked them, well, can you give me a review unit to check out on the channel? And they said, obviously, yes. This is not an advertisement, though. I'm able to say anything. All right, there it is. Everybody take a look at the Moza flight base. Obviously, it's pretty much heavy because, well, it does have a big motor. Comes in this interesting bag, which I don't hate at all. This is pure aluminium. This is definitely no plastic at all. That's interesting. It's got quite a leather finish that I, you know, would also find on like cars, you know, with stick shift. So that feels immensely good, actually. All right, let's go ahead and place it. Sorry, microphone. Let's go ahead and place it down. And all that's left in this box right here is a big, yes, power supply here, which does not come, oh, it does come with a cable. Oh, that's actually even a European cable. Not bad thinking. Now, something else this comes with is a USB type B connector. You know that from printers. No USB-C, but all right. Who cares? This is not really a device that I would think of taking with me on the go where I needed it to be USB-C. Take a look at this exotic connector right here. Obviously, it makes sense for them not to have this power supply in this big box anyway. It's not like immensely huge though. I mean, where else would you store the motors? Duh. Oh, beautiful. Now, you may remember me talking about the Thrustmaster HOTAS Warthog joystick, which I can simply unplug from the Thrustmaster base and just put it on here as well. That very much is possible, but we're not going to do that today because I'm obviously talking about the MH16 joystick, which looks very similar. I mean, I'm quite happy that they didn't name it MH17, and as you can see, it slides right out, just like an Apple product. All right, let's have a look inside. Obviously, also very nicely packaged. Okay, that's what it feels like. Obviously, also fully metal, and god damn it. Wow, this feels immensely good. Like the trim switch has an immensely good feel to it. Wow. Question obviously is, how does it compare to the Thrustmaster HOTAS joystick, which just costs slightly more now, actually. That's interesting. The HOTAS joystick is a little bit heavier, but they actually, I think, as of right now, I can say that they're kind of the same. Like, this definitely won't change your flight simulator experience. Honestly, I can't give any advice on whether you should get this one or this one. We also have a little bag right here, which does not contain drugs, but these little drivers here with which you can actually open and disassemble your joystick and perhaps do some additions to it, maybe upgrades. I don't really care. Let's actually just set this aside and let's try to just screw this thing on there. Nicely connect this. There we go. Very plug and play. Already works. Obviously the motor's dead. Let's maybe go ahead and connect it to oh, god damn. All right, there you go. There you go, so that's now connected. Not very live yet. Now, something else that you can get for your base is the flight base clamp to, clamp the whole thing onto a desk. But I don't think I will need that because this thing is so heavy anyway. It doesn't really move. But what maybe that is something that turns out later on. Obviously, the base has a million holes to connect it to a proper flight sim rig. All right, then. Now, obviously, part of the whole experience is setting up the system now, connecting it to a flight simulator. In order to do that, we have to download the Mozart cockpit right here. Yes, like that. Perfect. Set that up. Perfect. This is a very well-designed software. Let's go ahead and power up the whole thing. It moves! Can you see it moves? All right, let's go ahead and update the base. We have to do that right now. Upgrade successful. Perfect. All right, so obviously there's firmware on this whole thing. And as you can see, it's kind of like recalibrating. All right, and all that's left to do is, connect this whole thing to a flight simulator like X-Plane. We have to set the install path like always. But let's actually start with the Microsoft Flight Simulator. We're already spawned into the beautiful Cirrus Jet. Why? Because it is the plane that makes most sense for this joystick. As you can see, it has one as well. Something we can tell is that there's already some noise coming out of it. Yes. Let's take a look here at the setup right here, and here we have the effects that we can set up. For example, I've set up the jet engine rumble to 1,000,000%, which is why it does quite rumble a lot. You can very much feel it. It's like very, very much hot vibrating, really. We can reduce that to 0. We can put it back. I'm not sure if you're able to tell it on camera at all, but that's quite good. Something that doesn't work out of the box, though, is, the control setup. So we have to go here, control option, do this ourselves. So there we go. Elevator axis. Well, yes, nice. That's all we need for now. Maybe in the future, flight simulators are going to be able to have a preset profile already in the flight simulator. This is a very new product. All right, and so here we are. This works indeed. Let's go full power, and we can feel that the jet engine rumble, has only increased now. It's now quite noticeable, and you can kind of hear it. Yeah. I set this to 1,000,000%, maybe a lot. All right, let's maybe go ahead and just try to take off now with our Cirrus Jet indeed. Okay, all is well. This plane maybe does take a bit of a while to take off. Now, yes, once again, there may be quite a bit of noise level, but it's definitely not that bad. I mean, we're talking about flying an airplane. There's lots of noise here. And yes, the Cirrus Jet is taking off. And something I very much like from the start is how resistant this joystick is. I have always felt like joysticks are way too light on the controls. This one needs some work, It does have very nice spring action here. Yes, maybe. Once again, maybe you need the desk clamps. Yeah, that definitely isn't a bad idea. Go ahead and maybe trim the airplane down a little bit. Okay, that is all well. Let's maybe see. Something I do expect from this product is for the joystick to synchronize with the autopilot. So let me set up heading mode here. So for it to turn to the left, which it is doing right now. Sadly, the joystick does not synchronize much. Yeah, no. Here's now coming back to 0 bank, and the joystick hasn't moved a single bit. There are, the usual effects, all you need actually, like turbulence, but also landing gears. Maybe put landing gear up. Oh, that's a lot of noise. A lot of rumble. Okay, that's set to maximum, by the way. Let's maybe put the flaps up. Yeah. And that's a different kind of rumble simulated. What I like here is how this thing vibrates. It really does make the plane feel lively. Now, something I kind of want to test is the friction needed to control the surplus. So maybe with the 100%. This thing has a torque output of 9 Newton meters. It's actually quite a lot. So come on. Friction. Oh yeah, that's a bunch of work. That's what I very much like to see. This is gonna go great for fighter jets, actually. Oh, it's funny when you go past the flight simulator, it all just stops. It's quite interesting. Now this is what it's like on a Cessna airplane, a propeller plane, Cessna 172. You can definitely see a lot of rumble here, but I think it can do more. This is the basic sense. Oh, yes. Intensity. Wow, take a look at that rumble. You can definitely now tell that on camera. That's so interesting. Once again, though, one problem is the autopilot does not quite synchronize. Now, I do have to say, while this is not immensely necessary, but it's definitely a nice touch. Take a look. We can see definitely the yoke is moving to the right. This joystick isn't, but that definitely can be changed with software through a future update. Once again, this thing is barely out yet. It took a while for the yoke, the force feedback yoke, to actually receive the feature as well, so I guess we'll wait. Now, one other issue I found also is that this thing doesn't really work with X-Plane 12. I mean, it is connected. Trouble is that the currently supported games is only DCS World and Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 for the telemetry data. So for the whole motion thing, yes. Well, as you can see, X-Plane does work, so we have a joystick, and we can still do things like make it very high friction, very high inertia, which is the weight of the joystick, so that you have a very, very heavy joystick feel to it. That's nice. This is definitely the best joystick feel I've ever had. Really does feel authentic to flying a big multi-ton airplane. Very good. So yeah, I would probably overall say that this thing has so much potential, but I guess the software isn't quite there yet to bring it to its full potential. Something else that doesn't work is, for example, trim here. I'm setting it down all the way now. That has no effect. But also on the other hand, and this one I'm actually not sure about, planes like the Airbus planes, for example, don't have such feature either. The Airbus side stick does not follow with the autopilot, nor does it follow with trim. A320 doesn't even have real trim. So for flying Airbus, this is perfect just yet. I think I've done a major tail strike. Rest in peace, tail 73. I'm sorry. All right, there we go. This is obviously an amazing product, as you've been able to tell. I kind of do need to fix the problem I'm having right now, and that is placing this thing on a table. Obviously, it is very high, so I might need to get a higher elbow rest right here. Even though maybe that doesn't even pose that big of an issue as I thought. All right, let's maybe go ahead and turn around here with this airplane. Oh, yeah. That nicely rumbles here because of the stall as well. That's what it does. Yeah, nicely fighting against this plane's peripherals. Yeah, it does not like that. And the joystick is translating that to me. Yeah, bunch of noise. Let's try now. As we've reduced throttle, we can feel a lot less rumble on that joystick. We can now land the A737. All right. Okay. Something else, you can feel some ground rumble. Yeah, there is quite some effect simulated here. Perfect. Yes, and there we go. That's been a stop. That's what I like to see, everybody. So, this has been a comprehensive first look at the Moser Racing joystick. Amazing hardware quality, very powerful engine, maybe some software tweaking to fully use the potential of this thing is needed. What I cannot wait for, by the way, is the MA3X side stick. This one you can only pre-order now, but yes, as you can see, this is supposed to be an A320 side stick, and it only costs 90 euros. I might not even ask them to send me one. I'm just going to buy it myself. It's funny. So is this the most expensive joystick setup I've ever tried? Yes. Is it definitely the best one I've ever tried? Yes. It does very much convince me. That's what I can say. And hey, maybe some future updates will help make this better. Also, please add X-Plane support. So I thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one as always. Good night. And a special thanks goes out to my members, my supporters. Killer, R27, James Duram, That Dude, Anime Gods of Gaming, Derek, Insider Plane, Nishijutsu Finer, Professional Jamal, Ryland Williams, and New the York. You've got beautiful names.